All right, everyone. First, we'll make a start. So, good evening, all, and welcome to our 6th Kubernetes Australia Meetup. So glad to have you all join us tonight at Microsoft. Before I begin, I'd just like to make an acknowledgement of our country on behalf of our KSUG organization. So, Kubernetes Australia respectively acknowledges the traditional land on which we are gathered today and pay our respects to the leaders past, emerging, and present. So what we have tonight is an agenda lineup with 2 topics we have, first of all, I'm just going through the introduction right now, and our first topic will be presented by Jorge on implementing Kubernetes on the enterprise, as well as from Vic. And our second topic will be unleashing the power of microservices by William. Then to wrap up, we will have more of a quiz-based raffle tonight, and we have some exciting swags on your left, if you may have seen already. And so you can have the opportunity to win on some of those, and also stickers throughout the night if you'd like to grab them. And of course, if time permits, we'll have open mic and networking as always, as well as Q&A with any of our KSUG volunteers. And if you'd like to become part of our volunteer team or express your interest in speaking as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce a special guest, our KSUG Thunder, who has returned from all the way from Perth tonight.
Thanks, Louisa. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thanks for joining us. And so excited. Everybody love to learn Kubernetes. So to give you some background, I set up the K8SUG. So if you're wondering how to pronounce the K8SUG, it's K8SUG, Kubernetes User Group. Okay, a lot of people previous ask me, what does the UG stand for? I say user group. It makes sense. I copied the idea from a Liebenberg to the code. Yeah. So that's my K8SUG I set up last August. So far, overall, globally, we have 3,000 members. It's only 1 year. So our Singapore team, I set up in Singapore first. Singapore team already have 2,000 members. So Australia in Melbourne, I love Melbourne. So we're better than Sydney, right? So I start K8SUG Australia in Melbourne first. Maybe late we will expand to Sydney, but definitely Melbourne is the best place for us to expand. So starting from April, so far we already have 700 plus members. So it's not me to create such environment. It's everybody love to learn Kubernetes. So everybody join us to learn. So that's where we set up the group to continue for everybody to learn, to share what we learn, and everybody can grow. Okay, and feel free to join our LinkedIn. So I set up the company page like 3 months ago, where we have like almost 1,000 followers. Feel free to follow us. And we also have our Twitter page. But I personally, I don't use Twitter a lot. So my LinkedIn, if I compare, my LinkedIn, I got 33 followers. 33K actually. Okay, but my personal Twitter also doesn't have much followers. But feel free to follow us. I will try to use more on Twitter page as well. First of all, thanks to our event sponsor. So you might have noticed SSW, Enterprise Software Development Company. They do a lot of Microsoft services as well. And also, we very much appreciate Microsoft to sponsor us in the venue. So one of my key challenges is to find the space big enough for everybody to learn. Our group is growing so fast. We need a big place like Microsoft in the venue here. So it's very much appreciate Microsoft for sponsoring us, and SSW sponsor us the food, drinks, and plus some swags. And we like also, thanks to our long-term sponsor, we have quite a few long-term sponsors from last year when I set up the Meetup group. So CloudCasa is one of these. So if you never heard of the CloudCasa, it's one of the best Kubernetes backup as a service offerings. So when you move to the Kubernetes, so you might think Kubernetes is infamy. I just launched running and then it's all good. If one container died, I spin up a new container. But the moment when you move the database application to the container, that becomes a problem. Without backup, it will be trouble. When your container is gone, your data also gone, your PVC TV is gone, how I can recover? Also, I want to migrate could be from on-premises to Azure AKS. I believe Jorge will talk about a little bit more about AKS, how to migrate from on-premises to AKS, or could be from other cloud to AKS. So CloudCasa can help you. And we also, thanks to our long-term sponsor, JFrog. JFrog, are you guys using JFrog? So basically, it's a secure end-to-end the artifacts management tool. And CNCF, if anyone never heard of CNCF? So the CNCF, we also thank CNCF to sponsor us. And I was becoming the CNCF ambassador from this March. And CNCF actually keeps sponsoring our Meetup. So I do have some nice slides. Yeah, Lisa is showing here.
All the way from Amsterdam, some of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to a KubeCon event in Amsterdam this April. And I did bring some slides back. And also over the time, the CNCF also sponsored our Meetup. And also Google Cloud. Yeah, he's one of my long-term sponsor. Yeah, it could be at some point Microsoft can become our long-term sponsor as well. Very importantly, so I mentioned earlier, one of the key challenges is to find the space. Another challenge is I need someone to help me. So if I'm alone, I want to be able to do this job. Organize, so a 2-hour event, you think it's easier, actually it's not easy. We do have a lot of the volunteers that are helping us. So the whole group is run by the volunteers for the Kubernetes community. Include, I listed here only a few here from our Australian team, but our Singapore team actually much bigger. And including my daughter Louise and myself, we are all volunteers. We don't get paid, nobody paid us. So thanks to all of our volunteers. If anyone are interested to join us, feel free to join us. And another challenge is we need to look for someone to share, to talk about, to share some topics. So we continue looking for more speakers. Okay, I'm pretty sure some of you probably have a very exciting topic. You love the Kubernetes ecosystem. We have a lot of stuff to share. So feel free to join us. So I listed here 3 links here. So volunteer, drk8SUG.com. That's for volunteers and also sponsor drk8SUG.com. And the speakers. So why I need the sponsors? I need someone who pay for the food drinks. I don't have money to pay for the food drinks. And also I need someone to sponsor us some swags. Okay? Yeah. And so today's topic, we have awesome speakers from Microsoft and also from SSW. Actually, unfortunately, Vic has some family problems, so he won't be able to join us today. But George from Microsoft, he will cover how to implement Kubernetes on the enterprise. And followed by William, we'll talk about unleashing the power of the microservices with DAPR in Azure container apps. Does that sound good to you guys? If you do have any suggestions, feel free to let us know. And a few upcoming events, I listed here a few, pretty much a lot. I used to list the other events, but when we are growing bigger, we got a lot of events. I don't have space for other events. So the next one also at Microsoft. So 2 days later, we're going to have at Microsoft Singapore. We have a similar meetup. And the next month, we're going to have another meetup at Red Hat. And we also expanded to Canada. and we have a meetup in Canada. In December, that's the one very interesting. If you love to travel, if you love Kubernetes, we are going to have a first Kubernetes Day. Has anyone heard of the Kubernetes Day? So that's one of the CNCF Linux Foundation organized event. So we are glad to partner with Linux Foundation to help them to run the first Kubernetes Day in Singapore. So that's December 12th. I do have a slide to highlight that. I put my logo here. You see, pretty similar pattern, right? So we're matching the Kubernetes Tuesday. So yeah, feel free to join. You can register, and if you have a topic, you can raise your topic as well. You can speak at the event. I think that's pretty much we all for now. And towards the end, we will come back for the feedback forms. Okay. With that, I might hand it, before I hand it to George, I really want to highlight a few stuff. So I know a lot of you guys are actually not familiar to the Conf Hub. So most of you are actually, we just launched it. We want to leverage the Conf Hub to simplify the checking. So if you fill out the form, and how to fill out the form also very easy. You log in, you sign up, you just pre-fill all of the details. So your name, email, already done, and then you register. The experience is pretty good. That's why we dropped out the Google form. We just use the Conf Hub. And the Conf Hub also have other benefits like this time we're going to use the Conf Hub. So the registration link, let me show you. So if you guys haven't seen this, so basically, if you want to go to our Australia meetup page, just au.ksug.com. It will take you to the page. So by register from our meetup, we don't know if you are coming online, join us online or on-site. That's why we need a separate system. Okay. So if I click here, you will see. So register now to attend. Okay. So next time, if you're interested in joining us, please remember to click the link. Click the link, it will take you to the page. So it give you a better experience to register. If I say I'm going to register, you just click register. And then it will, but right now I can't register this one, but let me try use another one as an example. So I use the next one as an example to show you. So register now. And it will take you to this page and you click proceed. So here there is a button here, pre-fill. So you can pre-fill my details, so everything is done. So in terms of the registration, it will be a lot easier. And once you've done these, actually the check-in process is also very easy for us. You don't have to write your name, email address. And basically, I just log into the link. There is a check-in link. And I can find your name, just one click to check you in. Okay, I really appreciate your cooperation. So moving forward, please, do fill out the form. That makes life a lot easier. So before I hand it back to George, so remember, I love Microsoft Azure. I love Kubernetes. I want to show you one thing.
I gave the cat for him, that's why.
I'm 11 times Microsoft Azure certified. I keep learning, okay? So if you want to verify, actually you can verify, online as well, all of these, okay? So join me to learn the, Microsoft Azure. Yeah, it's one of the great, cloud platform, okay? So another thing I want to show you, I'm actually fully certified on Kubernetes. So there is only 4 Kubernetes certifications right now. So I'm fully certified. So you got some of the quiz time, or there is a question from here, okay? So there is only 4 Kubernetes exam. CKA, CK8, CKS. That's a pretty hard one because it's disrupting the traditional exam. It's completely fully hands-on. So the KCMA, the basic one, still the multi-choice questions. So that's the basic one, and then for the depends on your role. You might want to be an administrator, you might want to be application developer, or you want to be a security specialist. That's where the CKA, CKAD, CKS. Okay, I guess I've done enough selling. I'm not selling you any products. I'm selling my passion on Kubernetes. Okay, selling my passion on multi-cloud, Microsoft Azure cloud. So if you want to try, actually, I also have my GitHub page. So I do cover all different Kubernetes. So two of the popular ones, that's the AKS. So feel free to play around. So literally you only need one command. So 5 minutes, I can spin up the AKS cluster. So I also, on the right-hand side, I can also have the backup tool deployed automatically, only a couple of minutes. So feel free to give it a try. Thank you for joining us. We will come back for the quiz time after the George and the William session. So George is already here. He can't wait. Thanks, George.
I will use this one.
Okay.
Let's go. Can you guys hear me? Nope.
Let's share the screen.
Was on before. Now? Any better? No?
Share the screen.
Oh, wait. Working out? There you go. Better now? Can you hear? Not really? No idea.
Your voice is audible, I guess.
No.
You guys can hear in the back?
Can you get the other one there at the back? There's another one there. Thanks so much. Better this one.
Yeah.
Why?
It always happens on the charges. Yeah.
Any better now? Yeah. It's not before and that's really gone. Yeah, there you go. We're going to talk about implementing Azure Kubernetes service on the enterprise. And welcome everyone. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for the user group to to open the doors for Microsoft, for Azure to be here. I'm a senior cloud developer advocate, as you can see there. That's my profile on the QR code. And Vic, didn't make today. I have some advice from him. We're probably going to see at the end about Copilot. I guess Copilot is pretty good. I think you.
This one's off.
No. And the whole idea is more than Azure Kubernetes service is a little bit discussion how we do that on the enterprise. Is any consultant here implementing Azure Kubernetes Service on customers? Anyone works for a consulting company doing that? That's nice. You can see some hands there. And you probably know how you get started with Azure Kubernetes Service in a big customer, in a medium-sized customer, or even on the startups. That's my community now. Right. The Azure Tech community is a community that I started like during COVID and used to have just a Twitter before, and there's a lot of videos there, more than 100 videos in multiple languages, and I recommend you to follow the channel, the site, and the community as well. There you go. Yeah, we just discussed about the CNCF and what's cloud native. A lot of people ask what's cloud native, why we need cloud native, why we need microservices, why we need Kubernetes, why we need all those bunch of products on cncf.io website. I don't know how many open source projects we have there, but we have many. And it's all about what's in there. It's kind of, I like to say that before microservice, before containers, Docker, Kubernetes, we used to create web farms. Anyone create a web farm for using virtual machines? Anyone knows what a web farm is? We don't even know anymore. Do you know why you don't know? Because Kubernetes. Because before Kubernetes, we used to get a lot of VMs together and create this thing called web farm and have load balancers on top, and we have to manage the whole thing. I think this audio is pretty bad. Where's the other one? Give me the one. Yeah. Let's try this one. And before Kubernetes was pretty hard. It was pretty hard to do a microservice where he deployed just one piece of the software, and he deployed that in milliseconds. It was impossible to do it. It was pretty much impossible. And then you have all the monolithics, don't have microservice at the time. And then when Kubernetes came, all the microservice thing became possible with Docker and Kubernetes. It was kind of, hang on, now we can break this thing apart and just redeploy one piece of the solution, not the whole thing all the time. And we don't have to put these 24 overnight blue screen say the website is offline and it'll be back tomorrow morning. And the funny thing is we still having some companies in Australia around the world with the blue screen overnight saying that the application is offline. Or even when it's not offline, some parts of the application is not working because they're doing deployments overnight. And what got from the banks, we're going to be doing deployments on Saturday night, and you cannot do your transactions overnight. Yeah, we're still having these, and that's why we're here. There's a lot of work to be done to fix this problem here. Every time I click there. And on Azure, we have this bunch of products that can be used in a cloud native solution. You can see Azure Kubernetes Service. You can see Red Hat here. There's one for Red Hat. I think there's one for Red Hat. Yeah, we also can use OpenShift. That's one Kubernetes distribution, and on Azure is fully managed in partnership with Red Hat. But I used to work for IBM as well. I was on the other side before. That's why I'm helping. I'm helping you with that as well. And yeah, they're both products, AKS and Red Hat OpenShift. Very strong on Azure, and they're both growing very fast. And there's a new product called Azure Container Apps. That's what we call Kubernetes serverless, or the serverless Kubernetes implementation. People love it. I really like the product. I think it's a good way for you to get started with containers and Kubernetes, because we manage the whole thing. We don't even, the customer, the user is not going to really see what's going on behind the scenes. That's good for you to get started. But I work for the AKS team here, then I'm going to talk about AKS tonight. But doesn't mean that Azure Kubernetes is not also something that should be looking on, okay? And maybe another day we can talk about that. And we need more like a cluster that you're going to see what's a cluster. If you never saw Kubernetes before, but we need to integrate that with everything on, not just on Azure, but even outside, the Azure cloud as well. And that's why you can see Active Directory, policy, and Defender, Key Vault for secret management. All these other components we have to integrate on Azure Kubernetes Service. That means that Azure Kubernetes Service is more than just like a Kubernetes cluster. It's a full service that integrates with everything on Azure, from virtual network, storage, security, and secret management and identity. That's very, very important one as well. Then, if you look at cloud native, use case or scenarios, you're going to see those 4 big ones now. AI coming strong now. Everyone using ChatGPT, I'm pretty sure that you are. And AI in a lot of startups and companies, they come to Microsoft, to Azure to build their software, the SaaS solution on Azure. And now AKS is one of the top choice for those companies building like a new solution, because they want to make sure that the solution is scalable, fail safe, all those components that are the foundation of a Kubernetes cluster, we can have that. Then I really like the other one here that's like real-time telemetry or even IoT solutions. Those kind of use case on that, Geo, we've done this use case as well. It's very hard to maintain, to manage without, Kubernetes. Maybe, how are you going to keep scaling that, but you don't want to pay the bill when nobody's using that. You're going to scale up and scale down, the CPU and memory that you consume from a cloud provider. Then that's why you came for Azure Kubernetes Service. And on enterprise, the first decision that when you look like a cluster like that is how I talk to that. You can see there's a control plane there, and there are like a bunch of agent pools. Agent pools are group of machines. Imagine virtual machines that when you spin up a Kubernetes cluster, that's what we do. We create a control plane, fully managed on Azure. You don't even pay for that. You can pay SLA if you want, and recommend for production. That's the control plane there at the left side. And then you pick how many pools of machines that could be completely different. You're going to see that. And also the size of those pools. And you can set up out scaling. I don't want to pay when nobody's using that. Then it'll be 1 node, 2 nodes, 3 nodes, and they're going to be keeping scaling up and down. But how Kubernetes works is we talk with this API 7, that's my number 1. The user there at the left, they talk with API 7. That's the only thing we do. Kubernetes is a cluster that on the control plane, they open an API for us to talk. And then we send manifest, what you call YAML files or YAML manifest from Kubernetes. And we send for this API and say, can you make sure that my state, the desired state, will be applied on my nodes? I don't care where my application will be running. As traditional application that have a virtual machine or like a software as a service, we know pretty much that to be deployed on that environment. On a Kubernetes cluster could be running on any one of the nodes, or even different tools, depends on your configuration. But you don't care exactly where your microservice, your application, your API, your front end will be running. The API is going to schedule that. And what we call, there is a communication between the control plane and the nodes to try to find CPU and memory available to deploy your application. Simple like that. Imagine you create a class with 5 physical machines or virtual machines, and you have like 20 CPUs and 40 gig of memory. they're going to try to find one node where your 500 megabytes and one core microservice can run. That's it. And we make those nodes to talk with the internet and also get all the traffic with proxy and things. That's how a Kubernetes cluster works. If you never saw one, that's how it works. And I saw Adrian here for many years ago. Remember, Adrian, how we create a cluster before, even before Kubernetes? It was by hand. We create those VMs, then we make those VMs to join the control plane manually. It was a nightmare to create like a Kubernetes cluster or a Docker Swarm cluster or any other kind of cluster that you before Kubernetes. And now it's just like a few clicks and 5 minutes have a Kubernetes cluster on any cloud provider. And the nice thing is that the agent pools that we're going to talk about is that blue on the right. You can see that multiple tabs. Means that that's one way for you to, on an enterprise, when you have multiple applications, you isolate your applications or your projects or your products. You don't want to, that noise neighbor running on the same VM that you're running just because, it's a very busy application for your company. And you have to define how you're going to organize your applications inside one cluster. What most of people do, they create a few clusters. They start creating cluster 1, cluster 2, 3, because it's easy. You don't have to. There are other ways to do it. Imagine doing that on like on-premise with Red Hat. It would be very expensive with that. You cannot do that. That's why Red Hat, OpenShift, all that products, a single cluster, you can have multi-tenant. And the whole thing is about having multi-tenant. And then what Azure did was just remove this control plane. Now it's fully managed there. And you're just going to deploy your applications on those node pools. And people ask me, do I have to patch those VMs there on those agent node pools? No, I don't. If there is Ubuntu, or now we have Azure Linux as well, it's a very lightweight Linux distribution there on those nodes. And then we do all the automated upgrades and patch. We maintain the self-healing, everything that's like basic of Kubernetes, we maintain. You don't have to care about the control plane, you don't even pay if you don't want, and you don't have to update and patch. You just have to tell us how do you want us to update your nodes. You can even schedule, I want to do like 3 a.m. And the way that we do, we just stop, create another node with the latest version of the operating system. We move your applications, your microservice to the new node, and then we remove the other node. We just keep updating. Or we just stop one node of the cluster, depending on the size. We patch that one, and you bring back. Understand? But we always are going to create an extra node. Why? Because we don't want to disrupt your application. And then if I stop one node to patch, maybe you don't have enough space to deploy your applications. And there are multiple strategies. AKS now is very complex and very simple to use. Everything is a configuration. Means that you can even define, things that you want to be running on the Linux kernel as well. We can define how you want to patch and so on. But I like that diagram that I did a long time ago that showed the hosted control plane that you don't care anymore, but also shows the flexibility of AKS now. You can have Linux, you can have Windows, WebAssembly, ARM64, GPU, isolated, or confidential computing as well. You could have different node pools for any one of these architectures and ways to do things. Means that, yeah, if you want to use like some GPU, you don't want to mix that and deploy like a web front end on that. Understand? Then you can create a separate node pool just for GPU workloads and scale that to 0. Yes, you can. On my example here, we have 8 VMs for each node pool. But it's just an example. You can set even 0. You can even scale completely down if you're not using. And then even on the one that's not that, the spot instance, when you create a node pool, you can use spot instance. Spot instance means that we can claim the VM back if Azure need that, that resource, but you pay very little for that. Means that when we don't need those VMs, like the customers stop the VMs overnight, we give those VMs cheaper for the customers. But doesn't mean that we cannot ask back. Then your application has to be ready for, to move around anytime, because spot instance is just when we have capacity. But a lot of customers use that as well. And someone asked me here before about serverless thing. How we do serverless with Kubernetes? I don't want to do containers or Kubernetes. I want to go for serverless, full serverless. That's what we call Azure Container Instance. That's what we call, serverless containers or serverless pod on Azure. And the ACI there at the bottom, there is a way that you can use something called virtual nodes on AKS. And you can tell, when you call the API, remember the API that we talked with the API, you can ask them to use the Azure Container Instance. Means that they don't need even a user node pool to run your application. When you ask the cluster to create, to deploy an API, and you ask for ACI, they're going to create that resource not in your cluster, but on Azure Container Instance. That's our serverless solution there. What's the advantage of doing that? Is that you can manage everything from one control plane. You don't have to go on the Azure CLI or Terraform or PowerShell and deploy Azure Container Instance. You can keep using, Kubernetes API, and from the Kubernetes cluster, we're going to talk with Azure and create the resource on Azure for you. That's called Azure Container Instance. And there's another thing called Azure Operator that I'm not going to talk tonight, but Adrian just talked. I was talking to Adrian about Azure Operator, where you like that because I see you laughing there. And Azure Operator you can from the Kubernetes API, you have a controller that you can create Azure resource from your customer resource definitions on Kubernetes. Even imagine you want to create a storage account on Azure, I want to create a VNet, all these things can be done through the Kubernetes as well. Okay. And that's a virtual node that I was talking about, where it's just like a fake node that's created on the cluster to allow you to talk with Azure Container Instance. By the way, this is a CNCF project called Virtual Kubelet, and on AKS we call these virtual nodes. But that's the public, and that works for the clouds as well. And very, low level is AKS is this control plane, like I was showing before, that talk with the nodes using the kubelet and run your containers. And they also talk with the Azure network. The most common integrations with Kubernetes, the basic is virtual network and storage. You can mount a storage like Azure Disk or Azure File inside your container, inside your pod on Kubernetes, and you can also connect your cluster with the virtual network. Remember the node pools here before? For each one of those node pools, you can have a separate subnet for each one. And you could completely even isolate at network level your workloads. Okay. And network by itself is just one talk for 3 hours, probably minimum. And we have all the advanced networking people are talking about, Cilium, and we have overlay network now as well, that you don't need to get IPs from the Azure VNet. You can have a virtual network inside the cluster, like overlay network. There are multiple options there on the network, including service mesh with ST and other things. But let me just show a basic application that if someone here never saw an application running on Kubernetes, I have a pet supply store demo that we create for showing some AI as well. I have a front end with order and product service. We get all the orders, we save these in a message queue. On Azure, this message queue could be Azure message queue. But I'm running all these inside Kubernetes as containers, okay? Means that even the message queue will be running on Kubernetes. And I have another front end when we get the administration of this pod. And we have to work on this demo now. Some people from we haven't, but it was done by some guys on Microsoft a long time ago, and then kind of changing now. And the nice thing on this demo now is that you can see the Vue, Node, and Rust. They're using different languages. Means that if using containers, doesn't matter the language that if you pack your application as a container, you can run any language, you can mix all the languages. That's why the demo is mixing. You don't have to, it's just like as a demonstration that you can. And then the product service is just for updating product, catalog, create a new product. And the Go service gets the message from the queue and save this in a MongoDB database. Could be Cosmos DB as well. Anyone using Cosmos DB? I'm pretty sure yet. It's an amazing database. If you never tried Cosmos DB, I really, really recommend you to try. And we guarantee under a millisecond, response time on Cosmos DB is by SLA, including and the other service, the AI service. The AI service is pretty much we using Python just to get a description for the product when you create a new product. That's very nice, It could be, the code is not production ready or anything, but in a real life, that's what you have. A lot of people using message queue, database, and now trying to integrate AI as well. And why not using multiple languages if you can? I don't think you're going to use all those languages, but maybe a couple. You are. A lot of people using Python now, and that's a recorded one. Let's see that gets started here. Okay. That's how we call AKS install demo, and the demo we're going to get the code. We're going to open this on VS Code, and on this demo you can get on my GitHub, by the way. And we have a single YAML file. Remember the YAML file, the design state that we sent to the API, where we have the basic deployment and service for Kubernetes. Deployment, we deploy the application, giving the container image that we're going to deploy. And the service is pretty much the load balancer. You can have a class API, an internal load balancer, or you can have a load balancer itself that is one. You can get like a public IP for that. And why need a public IP? We need a store there, front end, that will be exposed to the internet. Then we're getting public IP for that. What I do, I copy this. If I don't know anything about Kubernetes, I can go on Azure portal. I have a cluster that I created before, 127. I have outscaling, Azure policy, Prometheus, I have insights, and I want to just deploy this application. I got the YAML file, I got my GitHub there. I can copy and paste and deploy these on my cluster. What's going to happen? Now I have all those deployments, and the deployments ask me to create a single instance or replica of my application. And you can see it's a recorded, but you can see that takes some, I don't know how long, but some could be very fast, depending on your application. And now I have application deployed, and I have the service with the public IP created, the ones that I ask for load balancer. On Azure, we just create a load balancer configuration pointing to your application. Then now I have all the pods of the application running. If I refresh, I have the front end here, my products. I can pick 1, 2, and I can complete the order. When I complete the order, check out. Remember, I'm saving this on a message queue. And then on the administration side, someone's going to pick the order. They can just process this order. Let's go to the database. And I want to use AI. I want to remember the product description that I want to use AI. And then to use AI, I have to deploy. I haven't deployed the AI service yet. Okay, the AI service wasn't part of my deployment. Then I want to have a time that I create a name and keywords. I want to send to Azure OpenAI, and I want to deploy them. Then to be able to do that, let's create an Azure OpenAI, and we're using Azure OpenAI before here. Yep, three people using that. I need those configurations. I need to create the service like here. I have a deployment called GPT-4. And I just need my endpoint and my key to access the service. Don't worry, my key is not that anymore. I refreshed the key after I recorded, and that's why I recorded. And I'm going to deploy that service. And the only thing this service is doing is enabling a button on my screen. If the service is available, the button will be there. And then I deploy there. And then once the pod is running, yep, the last one there is running. Then I should go back to my application. The pod now there, the pod now is running. When you go back, there's a button. Ask OpenAI. Then why not? Let's just create like a sensitive dog soap. And they're going to get this name and those keywords. And we're going to generate the description based on the keywords and name. And voila, I think I like the description. What do you think? Azure perhaps is good enough, ChatGPT-4. That's it. Now I have a new product. And you can go and just create another order and everything is going to work, the product's there. But the complexity there is like when you have to, let me go for the next one here. You see the time here?
5 minutes.
A little bit more. You talk too much, and we talk a little bit more, but he said 5 minutes, I said no way. Let me go back. The second demo is the scaling side. When you scale the application, you see there is a node pool. Remember the node pool that we talked? My cluster has a single node pool. That's not recommended for production, by the way. And then what I want to do, like, I have a single replica. That's not good enough. For this demo, I'm just going to get those 4 services on the top, the storefront, admin, order service, and product service. And you're going to scale these to 50 instances. Okay, you could set some like a outscaler and get some workload on these applications just to test. Or you could just go manually and scale those applications to more replicas just to see how the cluster scales that. What I did, I went to my YAML file again. I set all the replicas now to 15 from all those 4 servers there. The product, the order, and the front ends. And I'm going now to use kubectl. I don't have to use the port all the time. I can apply on command line. And I can also use bash to track, you know, the containers being created. You can see now 15 replicas that I'm asking. What happens on Kubernetes when you ask for, you know, to scale very quick? They try to find CPU in memory to deploy application. Right? If I have a single node, do you think I have enough CPU in memory to deploy 15 instances of each one? No. And what's going to happen? They're going to scale not just the application, but the cluster. If I refresh here, the second node is created. Could take like less than a minute, doesn't take seconds, but take like, depends on your configuration, could be very quick, could be 30 seconds to create a second, you know, multiple nodes. And now I have more CPU in memory available to deploy the other instance. Then all that other instance waiting for the scheduling to find like a space, like a node available to deploy application will be starting being deployed. This could take, you know, some time. Or if you have the node available, it should be like seconds. Everything's done. But now I want to, you know, scale down. Imagine if it's done automatically by, you know, by the consumers accessing your website. And now it's overnight. Nobody's accessed my application. I don't want to pay for 2 nodes. I just want to pay for a single node. What's going to happen? I can scale back to 1, and everything will be terminated. The termination is pretty quick, but the node is still there. Okay, you can do that configuration yourself when you create a cluster on AKS. That's very important for the enterprise as well. I think the default is 5 minutes, but you can change that. You can ask them to check every second, 2 minutes or something. And then they can scale the cluster down. In my test here took like probably 7 minutes, and then they scale down to a single node again. Okay, and you can scale those node pools to 0. And some people say that I always have to pay. Yes, you have to pay for the load balancer that's few hours there, some storage, some things, but not for the nodes if you want. You don't have to pay. You can scale. Well, for sure in production, you're not going to scale to 0. You're not going to scale even to 1. But it's very nice to do load testing and things. And now our scale is a default on pretty much on AKS. And just for us to finish now, and then you go, William, to talk about something more how to use microservices on AKS. It's a very enterprise feature now that it's coming. Something's Azure, something's not, but it's called Fleet Manager. Means that if you're working for a medium-sized or enterprise company that need to scale and create multiple clusters, even different regions, that's the way to go. That's going to be the the way you want, at least on Azure, for you to do it. And means that from like one single place, you can manage and create multiple clusters and have the same networking and Kubernetes configuration to propagate on the clusters. Imagining every time that you create a new cluster, your application gets deployed there automatically, or all the configuration that you need for that cluster before you deploy your application get being deployed. You could do that configuration, some kind of GitOps, some kind of Azure policy as well can be applied there. And that's pretty much that. We call update orchestration. It's all in the documentation, you can find out. But you can group the updates. Let's say cluster 1 and 2 be deployed, updated first, then 3 and 4, then wait a little bit and upgrade the other classes. You can have this orchestration now with Fleet Manager. And you can also back up, because we have Azure backup now on AKS, you can back up your classes. And the propagation is not like that. You can define exactly what's going to be propagated on those classes. And there are different ways to do that. You can target one cluster or one region, or you can target like some, resource selectors that they're talking about. And you can kind of group your application. And once a new cluster is coming, like a new region, we know exactly what's going to be deployed there. We don't have to care about that. It's a different approach to see that. I'm not one people who is using Kubernetes for a while know that's not easy. It's like having load balancer on the layer 4 means that we want a load balancer application across different clusters. And that's what Fleet Manager does, and we'll call multi-cluster load balancer. And I think if you are working for enterprise or as an employee or have a customer, I think you should look on that. We are happy to work with the product team if we have any customer that is looking to work on this level. And the marketplace as well, if we have anyone working for a partner here that wanna bring your application to the marketplace. So we have a lot of applications there already. There's a new option called extension plus applications on the Azure Kubernetes service that pretty much give you access to all those marketplace applications. That's growing very fast. And if you're working for a partner, bring them on board with us as well. I'm not going on the GitOps one because I think we are going to show something on that. And before we go, any question, anyone want to ask anything, it's just an overview what Kubernetes and OKS can do. But for the sessions, for example, we have a workshop happening this Friday, but sorry, it's sold out with the whole day here. Then if you keep following myself, William, you're going to know when you have another one. Maybe get a spot. I think Israel came here in March, I think, for the first one. That's the third one that we're doing on Friday. It's the whole day only about cloud native, when we give you like a full lab and you can play yourself with everything that we just did here. And normally like 50 or 60 people here sitting where you are doing the whole day like this lab. And we present and help you as well. And keep following us for maybe for the next one. This one, sorry, is sold out. And not sold out because it's free, but there's a big wait list already. But keep following us. Thanks so much for attending and for coming to Microsoft, and hope you come for the next one as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Yeah, that's not working.
It's like noise. Then I try to get that one.
Yeah.
Doing that.
We should have. Yeah. Let's see. Bye.
Mute? What are you doing? Alrighty, so what I did was each of those microservices, they publish a Swagger spec or an open API spec, and I just sort of, that little startup command line, it just merges them all together. So my gateway has the ability to display all the endpoints available on all the services. So if you're interested in how to do that, I'll show you on my GitHub. It's all there, but you can go and load the Swagger dev for each service individually if you're used to this kind of thing. But I quite like the all-in-one solution. Now, what we can do here is I'm going to quickly just go and see if my user exists. Click that. William. Okay, execute. Yeah, my user's there, email addresses is all good. And so what I'm going to do, where's the cart service? I'm just going to make sure that I have nothing in my cart. And so far, items was clear, there's nothing there. You may have noticed this is the beautiful UI for my shop. I'm not a front-end dev, so there's no beautiful app yet, but maybe one day. Okay, so my cart is empty, but I want to go and add something to it. Now, how do I know what I can add? Well, let me just go and look at my product catalog real quick. I'm just hitting all these microservices real fast, and it's saying, hey, I have product ID 1, that's some bread, and product ID 2, cheese. I like the sound of that. Let's go and add something to my cart. So what do I want to do? All right, we'll try this out. So I want to add something. Name. Product ID 1. I want to have this one slice of bread. Add that in. Cool. Yeah, 200. Everything works. Check my cart real fast. Still there. I have a slice of bread. It's $5. Well, it's a fair bit of dollars for a piece of bread, but that's all right. I'll add some cheese. I like 2 slices of cheese. Why not? Let's do that. And let's make sure that my cart has what I want. Excellent. Okay, all working. Great. Now, I can now go and check out. We normally do in a e-commerce app. Okay, so all I want to do is to say I want to check out William's cart. I'm going to show you something next if we manage this with one hand. When I go and do a checkout or submit my cart, that's then when I publish messages and another service, the order service, is going to kick in and start processing that order for me. Okay, so I want to show you the log output for that. So I'll set this up and get to the right window. Here we go. I'll get to the right service here so we can see all the output. The one I'm looking for is orders API. Here we go. Oh, it's already in front. Okay. There's a lot of output from DAPR. You can read it one day if you're bored, but just focus on the blue parts. All right, I'm going to hit execute. The request has gone through, but here we can see, cool, I received an order. I'm processing it, but I'm changing the state from order new to order received. And a little background worker there that takes its time to fake the process of shipping an order. But you'll see in a second that the order has deleted. Now, the next demo to show you would have been to have the notification service pick up that order's completed event and then go and craft up an email and send that out. But I think we might have to jump over that one. But essentially, it's the same process. Now, I publish a message to the bus and any other service can then react to it. But what's the magic behind reacting to a message? I was going to say, has anyone actually used Service Bus or even Azure Functions to, if one dude there, yeah, a few people. Okay, so a bit of work to get that going. And how would we do that with DAPR and ASP.NET Core applications? You've just got controllers or minimal endpoints. How do we do that? Well, very, very succinctly, actually. So I'm going to show you the orders API. And all I have here is just endpoints. I don't have any listeners or workers or any strange things in there. All I have are these endpoints. Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. So when I set up my endpoint for it should be a post, so I can post to it. So imagine the sidecar is actually the thing that first receives the message. It knows how to talk to Redis or receive something from Redis or from Azure Service Bus or Kafka. So it receives the initial message and then forwards that to my application. And all it does is actually call an endpoint or a controller action on there. But this action's been decorated with a bit of stuff here. So now I actually have a topic attribute, which I didn't know you can actually decorate a delegate this way. I'm used to seeing from body and from services, etc. on parameters, but to decorate a whole delegate, that was nice. No, I like that. It's pretty cool. So what we're saying is, I want this endpoint to subscribe to this particular topic, which is, I just used PubSub, wasn't very creative. Sorry, that is the resource name, the PubSub that I want to subscribe to, but then the topic on that resource is the one I want to then receive events from. So this is just my orders queue, okay? So the shopping cart service published onto the bus, and this one is listening to the that event, and it basically then receives that order. It's already deserialized for me. I can then just go and pass it on to my business logic and go and process it for me. Okay, very simple. It's literally one line to consume a message from the bus. Very nice. Okay, now what else is there I can show you? I'll show you one thing, and then I'll almost be wrapped up. In the gateway, okay, all I have to do for a request that comes in is to match a particular route. So for users or orders, etc. All I need to do to route it to the right place is to append a header, which is the DAPR app ID. So I'm using the prefix or /user for the user service, /product or the product service, etc. So I craft up just the orders API header, if anything comes in on the orders route. And at the bottom here, it then forwards this to my local sidecar. So the gateway has its own sidecar, and because all the sidecars are connected to each other, it sends it to that one, and DAPR knows which service to send it to. So that service discovery is beautiful. It just works. So I don't have to do anything more complicated than this. I'm actually trying to find a way to make this even simpler. But for me, this is quite nice so far. It makes the services or to expose your services quite straightforward using this method. If you've ever tried configuring Envoy, it's probably about 10 times more work. Okay, cool. So that's still running, and I'll go back to the slides real quick. Cool. All right, so I'll just show you the simple methods for setting up DAPR, the one line to set it up in your application. You can actually enable cloud events. It'll strip out all the cloud event stuff for you and just give you the base payload. But if you want to be a bit more crafty, you can dig into those messages. Should have swapped these two around. But yeah, then you can enable PubSub, publish event, and then you can listen with topic or just that topic attribute. There's actually two ways of doing it. You can do service-to-service invocation just by creating a HTTP client, just with that little helper there. There's the 3-state methods: get state, save state. You can query it as well. It's a weird little query language there, but they're actually going to deprecate that sometime in the future and replace that with a full document query language. Something similar to the, I'm probably going to get this wrong, the JMSE path query. How you can query a JSON structure. So essentially something like that. That's what they're going to build in DAPR. I'm not sure what the ETA on that is, but it'll, be a bit of a game changer, which is quite nice. I think there's a duplicate there. All right. So what are Azure Container Apps? I'll go through this real quick, but if you want to have a chat about this after, feel free to hunt me down. But I'll just summarize here. It's a very flexible serverless container app environment. Okay, so 0 to in type scaling. And it's Kubernetes without Kubernetes. Everything underneath that is all Kubernetes that we heard of a lot about tonight, but you don't actually get to interact with Kubernetes yourself at all. They've taken all of that away for you, applied their opinions, and I must say it is awesome. So like I said, using Kita, you can hook up to the keyless scalers, and you can scale your apps out with anything you can think of. You can even query it for a particular keyword in a log file and tell your application to scale out based on that. You know what's coming. Yeah, very powerful. So the routing inside of that, the networking capabilities for ACA is quite good. Like I said, it's using Envoy, but we don't have to worry about it. The best feature though is managed DAPR. I don't have to set up sidecars. I don't have to set up injectors or any of that stuff. I don't have to patch them. All done. Beautiful. I just have to basically tick a box and say enable DAPR and give it some configuration. And that is as much as I have to do. So I can basically now just focus on building maps, shipping it into ACA, and let it run. I don't have to worry about the infrastructure underneath that. Now, all our apps can run in a same environment inside of a VNet boundary. You can now BYO VNet and join different VNets together, do all sort of crazy networking stuff. That was quite recent. But yeah, you can also then choose for each of your apps, which ones are publicly accessible as a service or not. So you can see it's very much like a Kubernetes thing there, quite easy. Supports revisions, true zero downtime deployments, traffic splitting, blue-green deployments, all the strategies there are available. And you can run it in dedicated plans or consumption plans, different ways of pricing stuff. There's jobs as well, so you can have long-running or very infrequently running jobs. They can run on demand when you trigger them. They can be running on a schedule, like a timer trigger, or you can look for a particular event. If it's something that was dropped into a queue or somewhere, this container app will spin up, get the event or whatever you gave it, do something and die, turn off, gone. It's quite cool. Very useful for a report generating service, for instance. If you want to generate PDFs, for instance, we've done a pretty cool solution with Azure Jobs already that does that. Very, very nice. Now you can also do, apart from DAPR, you can add your own sidecars or even init containers. You can have an app that runs before your app runs, right? So for instance, if you want to do an entity framework database migration, you can have that as part of a single container, an init container, and then your main app separate. It doesn't have all the migration concerns in there. So that sort of helps you sort of work on multiple things at once and not have to ship too much with your actual applications, and a whole lot more. But if you, I'll show you real quick, just in the Azure portal, what these look like, right? So let's go to resource groups. Yep, that's the right one. Take that away. So you'll have this container app environment. So that's the sort of the boundary that all of my applications live inside. You see here is all my services that I showed in Visual Studio before that I've deployed here. Now I'll just go to the gateway one real quick, and you can see here, here's the URL for the gateway. Now if I click on that, that is expected, of course, because you need to add the right route. And there's the same app, the same gateway running in Azure. So of course, this will have a different set of information. I'm not sure what will be in there. Let's see what will be there. If I run that. No items, but yeah, look, it's the same thing running in Azure. Just actually able to, it's actually able to do a little bit more than my local machine. So yeah, you can look at the revisions and the way that the containers are set up and how much scale you want to enable, health probes, all sorts of stuff. That's quite nice. If you haven't looked at ACA yet, start there. It's pretty cool. I would choose this before going Kubernetes route. But I think once you get to something a little bit more complicated for networking sake, Kubernetes is the thing. And really, when you want to take good control of the infrastructure and the networking side of stuff, things around your application, go to AKS. I think ACA is great for most sort of the basic scenarios at the moment. Okay. And it's all very cheap as well, as long as you scale to 0. Okay. All right. So to combine them, look, this is the concept I gave you at the beginning, the microservice setup. On my local machine, I was running all .NET applications everywhere. I used Redis. Actually, I used Redis and Cosmos locally as in a combination. But I'll show you in a sec. You don't have to rebuild the application. to go and swap the infrastructure out, right? So I can take what I was running on my local machines, all Redis, I can run with Cosmos and Service Bus in Azure. And it's just a few YAML files to change, but once I've built the container, I don't have to rebuild it to change the infrastructure. And just a basic pipeline, you can set up your .NET code, commit that to GitHub, builds the container, ships it to ACR, and then automatically you can run that in ACA. Beautiful, simple process. Okay, so I've done the live demos, and I'll go and just sort of give you some of the cons of DAPR. The local dev experience needs a little bit of work, especially on Windows. To run multiple apps is a little bit hard, but on Mac and Linux, they've solved that problem. So check it out. Now, you might sometimes think or feel that you're missing out on the true power of some services. Okay, and that's true. You will, because they've tried to solve the common scenarios and use some best practices there, but there are always edge cases. So if you really need to go and interact with Cosmos or something directly, go for it. Don't let this stop you, okay? If you look at the DAPR page with that lists all the components, there's a lot of them that are still in alpha stage, but just be wary when you use them, okay? They may never, ever progress after alpha, or they might just go away. Choose the stable ones. And there are a lot of the stable ones there, should support most scenarios. The good stuff, the building blocks are great. It's super easy to use, right? It just simplifies app development immensely. There's no dependencies in apps, like even for SendGrid or for anything. None of that is actually in my application. It's just my code and DAPR. Yeah, the cross-cutting concerns, setting up logging or observability or that kind of stuff, it just becomes configuration. It's not actual code I have to really worry about anymore. So for me, that's kind of like a super infrastructure as code. I don't know what else to call it. It's really nice. I don't have to do much more than change YAML, and it works. There's a lot of choices, lots of components, which is awesome. And like I said a couple of times, I can go and replace my infrastructure without doing anything to my application. And now if we look at this list of things that we try to solve, we can have simple apps that are easier to discover each other or talk to each other. We don't worry about dependencies too much. Debugging, I might have to leave that for a little bit later, but you can actually just attach to all the processes running in Visual Studio, and you can debug as many microservices that work together as you like. That's awesome. And the deployments is quite straightforward with ACA. Now, this will make microservice development less painful, right? There's still problems, but there's a lot less pain if you sort of go down the DAPR and ACA route. Now, if you want all the stuff that I wrote, showed you earlier, check out the GitHub link there. I'll leave it up for a moment. But I'll be working on that and upgrading that. And hopefully soon, there'll be UI on there as well. Great, so, okay, everyone's got that link? Cool. Thank you. If you want another QR code, you can scan that one and give me some extra feedback. All right, you ready? All right, I think just everyone, yep, 1, 2. Okay, got it. All right, I'll unplug. Black. And this one.
Thanks, William. It's a very good session. Yeah. I don't know, is that too hard for you guys or too easy?
Too easy. Oh.
Yeah. You guys, we go to
Wait. I have a special request.
Yeah.
My 3-year-old son has a very demanding requirement at the moment that whenever I leave the house, I have to take Goofy with me. And I have to give him a photo of where I've been in Goofy. So if I can get a selfie with everyone in Goofy today, that would make him super happy.
Let's take this here.
Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, one more. Okay, thanks everybody. Thank you.
Sorry guys, yeah, we are a little bit late. Yeah, but hopefully you guys can learn something and come back to share what you learned. Okay? And this is a feedback form for us to improve, to optimize, to provide the best experiences for you guys. And once you guys take a screenshot or scan this, we will move to the next part. So hopefully it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. Okay. I mean, the form only like 2 minutes or 3 minutes you can complete. But in the meantime, we will move to the next part. So I learned from some other Meetup group. We're going to have an open mic time. If anyone is hiring, or maybe you're looking for a job, yes, come up here just to share. So I hope someone mentioned earlier, you got anything to share, yeah.
Yes.
Don't spend like 10 minutes, okay?
This will be very good. So yeah, look, I'm super happy John asked us to sponsor. And thank John, everybody, all the volunteers for tonight. Takes a lot of work. But just on the announcements, yes, I'm hiring. So I run the SW Melbourne office. Looking for solution architects, senior devs, .NET, Blazor, Vue, Angular, all sorts of roles. Yeah. So if you're keen, come have that. We're definitely trying to. We're actually trying to double the business. So yeah, there should be a spot for a lot of people. So come have a chat. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, William. Anyone else? So you guys come together. Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Amaya from Zenix, part of the Mansford. Well,
I'm also part of the mental group and work for Zenix. We are also hiring. We're looking for Azure platform engineers, ranging from seniors all the way up to principal as well. So we'll be hanging out at the back. So if you've got some experience in Azure and you want to work somewhere new, work with us, come on and have a chat.
and also my old company, the sister company of Zenix, CAV Solutions, I think is hiring for a lead and principal SRE, focusing a lot on the resale side of things. So those of you that might not be interested in the engineering and technical side, come have a chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the sharing.
It's a good sponsor for next month, good sponsor, good option.
Oh yeah, that's another option.
Actually host this, yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Yes. So remember our main challenge, find the value. That's very, very hard for us actually. And then we need someone to speak. That's another one. And then plus we need volunteers. Yeah. So someone else yesterday, actually, a lot of people are hiring. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
So we're actually hiring. We're software as a service company. So I can tell you what that is because I'm acting my own. So we're actually looking for cloud engineers, also network and DevOps engineers. So if you are into the market of working for a global SAS company here and wanting to there's a job to be working for us, you have to be working for the office, unfortunately. So I'll put that in mind. There's no working from home. That's it. It's fine.
Yeah, if anyone
It's a good office, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone is sick of working from home, that's a good option. Well, thanks everybody. Yes, yeah, we were a little bit late. Let's move to the next part. We used to use a wheel for an architect. We switched to a new platform. It's called Conf Hub. So we're going to validate what you guys learned. Did you guys listen? So we're going to ask you a few questions. And then how fast you answer the question also give you different points, okay? So based on the leaderboard, we're going to have some giveaway. I don't know how many, maybe like a 10 or 10 or plus. So the first from the top. Yeah, the first one is you know, you got more options, but towards the end you don't have any. Okay, so let me kick it off. The platform is pretty nice. Yeah. You can scan the QR code, or you can just type the URL with the code, and then you will see how many people participated, and here is a leaderboard. So once they finish, yeah, please line up here based on the priority, okay? Based on the points, leaderboard, and the first one over the slide is amazing. You got more options to choose. That looks all good. We got 21 already. Okay. 28 already. Okay. So are we all good already? Yeah. So let's go. Yeah, by the way, this is the first time I use this platform. If I'm not familiar, yeah, please, don't be upset. Let me give it a try. Click this button. The first question. The points will be. I see. Yeah.
Do I make it bigger, Dad?
Oh, single click. Yeah.
We get this right, everyone.
Do you guys do we need a 30 seconds? We don't need a 30 seconds.
Next.
Next question.
Okay. Are we all done? All good? Okay. No, it doesn't allow me to click. Okay. Yeah, that's all good. Not William. The next one. That's a very easy one, right? Yeah. So which year does K8SUG start to serve the Kubernetes community? 2020. Don't tell anyone else.
You told everyone.
Let me see if I can adjust the time. Yeah, otherwise we just wait this a few more seconds.
You can change the setting.
Okay.
We had our birthday just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's continue. Next one. So K8SUG is not available in which country?
Oh, you can't undo your answer.
You click it too fast.
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we do have a plan to expand to all the countries. Yeah. But we need more volunteers. So the next one, yeah. Israel is winning.
Yeah.
Nice.
One bad move.
So which Kubernetes certification is not hands-on based? We got a KCNA, we got a CKA, CKAD, and a CKS. You guys finished or? Yeah, I was trying to. Okay, let's leave it. So we got 22 people current. So that's the KCA, that's the very basic one. There's no hands-on for that one. So the next question, we are halfway. So which container image does Azure Container App support? So it could be Windows NT4, could be Windows, could be Linux, could be Mac OS. Yeah, 10 seconds to go. I don't know the answer. What about you guys? Okay. Mac OS. Only two get the correct answer. Next one. This should be an easy one. What is that? Is that container orchestrator or service mesh for distributed application runtime or object relational management?
Only one side of the.
It's not multiple choice. That's good. We got a two-thirds of them correct. The next one should be also the easy one. So that does not have an SDK for which language? Looks like it's tough. You didn't pick up from 1 of 6. Five seconds to go. Nice. Says Israel, Anoba, and not William still in the top 3. Yeah, that's good. So only 3 more, 2 more questions. 3 more. So what is Azure CNI? Is that cloud native interface or cloud network interface or cluster network interface? Won't be long, only 5 seconds. Great, almost 90% get the correct. No, so 90%. Oh, 71. The next one, 2 more to go. What's ACI? Don't get confused with. I know there are a lot of ACIs. I know Cisco, they also talk about ACI. So, but here we talk about Azure related. So, is it Azure Container Interface, or Azure Cloud Interface, or Azure Container Instances? Okay. So the correct answer, Azure Container Instances. So only one more question. I think Israel could be the top one. Yes, you get the last one incorrect. What's AKS? Is that Azure Managed Kubernetes offering, or Azure Serverless Kubernetes offering, or Azure Container Control Plane offer?
Good one.
So just a reminder, yeah. So please, the top points, get the first choice. You can choose any one of these, and then followed by the rank. Okay. Nice.
You take my name off.
It's all right. Yeah, everybody.
You wanna do a round of applause for everyone?
Yeah. Let's do a round of applause to the top. Thanks everybody for joining us. Yeah, come here. I think the Israel was Israel. Yeah, you can choose any one of these first, and then followed by not William and Guardian. No way.
Because of all those additional cost to sidecars,
Yes.
would there be the additional vacancy?
Yes.
Okay.
It's actually on the DAPR.
Okay.
They've benchmarked it. And of what not public. Depending on how many building blocks you add.
Yeah,
Between 4
and then we're going to take a group of photo if you guys don't mind.
Very
Actually, I didn't realize only the top 10 listed here. Is there any way to see the rest? Yeah, because it looks like we're gonna hold it.
44 people.
No, I mean
Participants are intending.
the top participants. But here, yeah, also here also listed based on the rank. Yeah, that's all good. So the second one, yeah, feel free to take whatever you.
I'm out. I'm all in.
That's great. So who is Guardian? Okay. Yeah, come here, pick up. And follow the key rank. Is that Will Baby leader? And Liu Bo.
They stick us up.
You don't need me to call one by one, right? Just come over here. Yeah, the first I believe the first 13 or 14 or maybe 15. Yeah, the socks also pretty good one. Oh no, do you take one the best?
How much? Where more people coming or what?
Where for what? Oh yeah, that's a very good suggestion. Yeah.
People leaving. Yes.
Yeah, please, everybody, if you don't mind, let's take a photo, okay? So remember, I need you guys to help us with the goal to grow the community. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, come over here. Let's take a group photo, okay?